So have any of you guys seen the clip from the podcast about with Christine Brennan? This book is going to be crazy. I mean this when I say this. This book is going to be absolutely...
The WNBA believed they could keep their worst critic, yet they chose the incorrect battle when one legendary. A reporter made the decision to write a tell-all book detailing the actual events that took place during Caitlin Clark's meteoric ascent to the league was now in a frenzy due to celebrity, startling disclosures regarding officiating, disputations, and drama behind the scenes. Ready to be sold, everything is about to alter what you believe ought to. Journalists who pose difficult questions are prohibited. Inquiries.
So Christine Brennan is... And the WNBA tried to get Christine Brennan banned. And I mean this when I say this. Like, whatever your opinion on Christine Brennan is, it is not a positive thing if you are trying to get rid of probably the most impactful women's sports reporter in the history of women's sports. Like, there's not one reporter who has, even if you don't like Christine Brennan, even if you don't like some of the things, they cannot come for Christine Brennan. Like, it is a bad look. It is a bad look. It's like going for a freaking, if you're a critic, it's like, imagine if, I don't know, Bill Russell said something, rest in peace, Bill Russell. But imagine hypothetically if Bill Russell was alive and Bill Russell said something positive.
Well, the WNBA took a big stride forward. Did they not see us at this moment? Let me be Crystal and Christine Brennan. It's obvious who we are discussing here. It's not just any blogger with a resentment. This is possibly the most prominent journalist for women's sports in. She has covered 21 Olympic Games throughout history, ranked among the top 10 sports columnists in America on several occasions, and was actually the first female to provide coverage. Significant athletic victories that men have. For decades, they were monopolized, and what did the WNBA Players Association has chosen to? They attempted to obtain her credentials for the press. Cancelled as she made some difficult queries. The boldness is definitely stunning, and, to be honest, it tells you all the information you require regarding how the league functions when they believe. Here's the thing, even though no one is looking, they didn't anticipate that Brennan wouldn't simply no longer writing columns. She's been working on a much larger project in only. On July 8th, a few weeks later, her shocking Caitlin Clark's game book and the Women's Sports Revolution hits shelves, and according to the information we're hearing, it's not going to be fluffy. This celebrity biography will be an expose that reveals the truth about precisely what took place during Clark's the book description alone for the rookie season. The WNBA should be sweating profusely. Brennan promises to produce an intriguing, fresh information regarding Clark's Olympic rejection, USA basketball's safety concerns that resulted in charter flights around her, the absence of the WNBA for all players, getting ready for increased national examination, and alarming occurrences of resentment and envy as a white person. Player rose to the top of a I worked in radio, mostly in the Black League. Displays where viewers would chuckle at the women's college basketball and the WNBA. It's absurd to roll around on the ground. Ari Jack had never played in the WNBA, had never experienced a Habeck moment. Bill Russell of the Celtics, you know. Kareem's Lakers moment is good. So when discussing these intelligible connections, which is where it fails. Because when examining the WNBA, the level of curiosity was really low. And then someone raises it to such a high level. And that's why I wanted to concentrate once more on this tale and observe the scope of this individual at this particular moment. The 53rd anniversary is almost here. I tie that all in no error at Title N. Everyone in the country has fallen in love with. Whoa, we're making progress now. Are we not the WNBA's lack of readiness for increased national attention? Translation: they were clueless on how to cope with being in the spotlight all of a sudden. and they really ruined it, but it improves concerning epidemics of hatred and jealousy that aren't mine. Viewpoint that originates from a reporter who has been observing this unfold from within. Let's discuss what exactly started all of this chaos, because this timeline is unquestionably vital. It all began during the playoffs when the guard for the Connecticut Sun unintentionally, Dejanai Carrington, prodded in the eye of Caitlin Clark during a game. If you remove your capes for a brief second and examine this impartially from this vantage point, you can observe that DJ Carrington is not possible purposefully prodded the girl's eye. But whenever something occurs with Caitlin, Jason Whitlock, Clark, and detain the White Knights wish to file a complaint. In opposition to the envious Black Chinas, Clark eventually had a black eye, and naturally, people began discussing whether deliberate or not. Here's Brennan. This is where things get interesting. Following the advice of journalists, directly with Carrington when you went and somewhat slapped Caitlin, asking, "Did you plan on striking her in the eye?" According to Carrington, no, it was an accident. It's fair enough that she was attending the ball. Brennan, however, then inquired Carrington's teammates, and she would have. Later in the game, they laughed about it. Did you go and were you kind of struck Caitlin? Did you mean to strike her in the eye? And if it's possible, you just could, or in any case, you discuss what transpired on that. I simply don't understand why I play.
I did radio shows where people would laugh about the WNBA and women's college basketball. They roll around on the floor. It's ridiculous. The WNBA had never had an Arnie Jack moment, had never had, Havlicek, Celtics, Bill Russell, moment, Lakers, Kareem moment. Well, so when we talk about these understandable connections, that's where it breaks down. Because when you're looking at the WNBA, the interest was so low. And then one person brings it up so high. And that's why, again, I wanted to focus on this story and look at the magnitude of this one person at this one time. We're almost at the 53rd anniversary of Title IX. I tie that all in, no mistake at all. The nation has fallen in love with...
Would want to strike someone in the eye. I don't even understand that yet. No, I was unaware that I had struck her. Well, I was attempting to make a play on the ball, and I suppose I did the same. Threw, and I struck her. So it's clear that never deliberate. That's not even comparable to the kind of player I am. Therefore, all right. Did you and Marina chuckle over? Later on, it appeared to be you there. They caught you later in the game. Guys giggling over it. No, I just said I hit her without even realizing it, so I am unable to chuckle at something that I did not understand what transpired with the rise in. At that point, the WNBA exploded. The players' associations. Collectively, they came up with what can only be classified as a hit composition, posing as a statement that calls Brennan disrespectful, incompetent, and requesting that her qualifications be naked. They said she had evident bias and hidden agendas, which is wealthy in light of all sports journalists. Whoever frequently covers a rhythm has connections and viewpoints that evolve throughout time. However, the following is utterly amusing regarding their grievance. They're upset over Brennan's composing a book about Clark, as though this is a little out of the ordinary for sports journalists. The number of books that have been written about LeBron James and Michael Jordan. It's practically standard. James Tom Brady. Practice for seasoned journalists to write books about important sports numbers, but it seems that when it comes to Caitlin Clark, all of a sudden, the union statement was so troublesome, excessively combative that even other reporters that aren't too fond of Brennan had to stand up for her due of what the Players Association of the WNBA was. In essence, is it so difficult to argue? It should be forbidden to ask questions if they could cause discomfort for players, which is crazy to consider this for a moment. MLB, NBA, or NFL, if a player receives participating in a contentious play. Reporters will inquire about it. Actually, that's what they do, but in the WNBA seems to be requesting a follow-up. Inquiries regarding whether gamers were able to. Something amusing is reason enough to obtain. Prohibited from providing complete coverage of the league. The level of hypocrisy is astounding. The same folks who are always whining that women's sports are not monopolized genuinely don't receive the same amount of reporting as men's sports, but at the time, a journalist handles them as though professional sportsmen that are capable of difficult questions. They frantically attempt to muzzle that journalist, and let's face it, what's happening here isn't about defending DJ Carrington against cruel inquiries. This is about managing the story of Caitlin Clark since Clark has grown too significant and too costly for the league to permit any unfavorable reporting to stick.
If you take off your capes for just a second and look at this objectively from this viewpoint right here, you'll see that there's no way DJ Carrington intentionally poked that girl in the eye. But anytime something happens to Caitlin Clark, Jason Whitlock and the rest of the White Knights want to press charges against the jealous black Shaniquas.
Is altering the league economy as a whole. There is no deception in the data during Clark's WNBA TV viewership for the first season grew by more than 400% in certain markets. Participation in the Indiana Fever games. Sales of products surged. Clark, through the roof, by himself. Increased awareness of women's. More hoops than the league has witnessed in all 27 years of its existence, but instead of expressing gratitude rather than celebrating. Amazing, incredible success. What did we observe? Players who are resentful and jealous, and coaches making disparaging remarks regarding Clark is receiving too much attention. Veterans expressing dissatisfaction about her being disregarded. The Olympic snub that was clearly motivated by petty politics visible to even casual fans. Christine Brennan was through it. They're recording everything now, where things start to get pretty intriguing, because a pattern is beginning to emerge. Many officiating issues that go way beyond a single contentious play. Only this. We experienced another occurrence last week where, during a game, Clark was struck in the face. This time, against the Connecticut Sun. JCS Sheldon was the one who contacted, taking a swipe at the ball, but Marina, the Sun's Mayberry, pushed Clark to the ground in what was obviously an inexpensive shot, and the actions of the officials. Mayberry was allowed to remain in the. Clark was actually called for a game, apparently for flopping a technical foul. When she was pushed straight to the. On the ground, Brennan was furious. Regarding this, and with good reason, she tweeted, "The WNBA is still not meeting the moment. It was a bad choice to let Marina. People are using Mayberry to stay in the game, as I've never watched before, and this is what they observe." She's definitely correct. Clark is sketching over half of the league's television viewers alone when non-fans tune in to see what all the excitement is about. Is concerning, and they observe the leagues. The biggest star is undervalued while the referees. What message does that convey if you do nothing? However, Brennan is not the only one making this call. Tennis great Chris Evers shared, "When will these women understand and accept and acknowledge that Caitlin Clark is the greatest occurrence that ever occurred to women's?" This is not a good look for the basketball, sports, and the current state of sportsmanship. Clark's coach included. The officials were criticized by Stephanie White, claiming she never received an award after the game. Justification for Clark receiving a technical infraction for being shoved to the ground. The pattern is starting to. It is hard to continuously overlook Clark.
Desjardins? Yeah. Did you, when you went and kind of swatted at Caitlin, did you intend to hit her in the eye? And if so, could you just, or if not, either way, could you talk about what happened on that play?
I don't even know why I would intend to hit anybody in the eye. That doesn't even make sense to me. But no, I didn't. I didn't know I hit her, actually. I was trying to make a play on the ball, and I guess I followed through and I hit her. So obviously it's never intentional. That's not even like the type of player that I am. So yeah.
Did you and Marina kind of laugh about it afterwards? It looked like there was later on in the game they caught you guys laughing about it.
No, I just told you I didn't even know I hit her. So I can't laugh about something I didn't know happened.
Is treated more harshly than other players and officials regularly, not adequately protecting her. Whether incompetence bias is to blame for that. Perhaps something darker that we might not, till Brennan's book is published. Since this is what actually has the feared by the WNBA, Brennan has been covering amazing tale from the very beginning with extraordinary access that she has carried out. She has numerous of exclusive interviews, been recording behind the scenes, anything, including Clark, collaborating and responding to all inquiries. Brennan has requested a description of the book, mentions behind-the-scenes exclusive, discussing the league's shortcomings, discusses the safety issues surrounding her. This made charter flights available to everyone. What safety concerns do athletes have as they wait? Type of safety issues that call for a charter. Flights, which you don't have. Usually learn about professional sports. Leagues, followed by a line regarding the WNBA's inadequate readiness for increased national attention to this. Implies that the league was aware of their departure, to be examined closely due to Clark, but they succeeded in screwing. Bringing up the Olympic snub repeatedly, by itself, will be worth the cost of entry to this book about American basketball's choice to quit playing collegiate basketball. #1 in Olympic scoring all-time. Team's indefensibility was such that even it was referred to as one by mainstream media outlets. Among the worst choices made in sports, Brennan referred to it as one of the worst last year. Choices I've witnessed in 40 years of reporting on the Olympics, and she's not quite informal observer who has seen 21 Olympic games when someone with that degree of experience indicates that something is historically poor. You should probably listen, but there was no Olympic snub. It was a component of a pattern of the basketball organization is attempting to reduce Clark's influence and maintain her in her location, and we are aware of this since we could observe it taking place in real time. During her first season, the repeated low-cost shots that were not called, the media attention that appeared more, centered more on disparaging Clark's supporters than honoring her accomplishments in the manner players with experience would create passive, hostile remarks against the leagues. Was alright prior to her arrival and during everything. Christine Brennan was observing the WNBA's efforts to get Brennan to stop talking by getting her revocation of credentials was always bound to fail, but it makes a vital discovery regarding how the league functions in the face of with justifiable critiques of their initial. It is not instinctive to deal with the issues. Attacking the messenger, which isn't the conduct of a self-assured, well-run organization, which is the conduct of an organization that is aware of its significant issues and is frantically attempting to stop them from going public. But the book is now too late for that. Arriving in 3 weeks, and the WNBA is powerless to stop it all. Their efforts to keep Brennan quiet have simply increased awareness of what she's found, that the timing was perfect. Clark is either joining the league or her second season with much more highlights her. The WNBA recently signed a huge agreement for new media rights that's intending to add more games to the national corporate sponsors of television.
Once Steph and LeBron retire, will there be an active American athlete that's more famous than her?
No.
I think she will be more famous than every baseball player she might already be. Every hockey player, all of the U.S. men's national team, and every football player that isn't really Patrick Mahomes and maybe Lamar, Josh, like there's only a few. And I think she's already more famous than every NBA player but KD, Steph, and LeBron. And I don't see any of those guys catching her. I think she is a supernova of fame and talent.
She's the Tiger 20 years ago on the tour. Like, the ratings disappear. It's nothing against the WNBA. She literally is changing the entire league economy.